A very good day to all of you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to our first answer discussion session for this special paper practice series that we have launched for the 2023 Advanced Levels Econ-Hub revision program. So I am confident that all of you guys have attempted the paper either physically or by receiving the PDF version of the paper at the comfort of your home or at the institute, the venue where we organized for you to come and sit down and experience the exam environment and then attempt the paper or go through that process. So either way, I'm confident that all of you guys by now have attempted the first paper in our special paper practice series that we are doing. So this particular paper that we are about to discuss the answers for paper 1 focused on Unit 1 and Unit 2 of the syllabus, competency levels 1 and 2. So the introduction and the microeconomics areas. In terms of Unit 1, the main focus was on the basic economic concepts. And in terms of Unit 2, we were looking at or the paper covered in Unit 2, that is market economics, demand and supply analysis areas. So that was the coverage of the paper. I'm talking about the schedule that was shared with you guys. We posted the schedule in your respective WhatsApp groups as well and ask you guys to share this with any of your friends who will be participating for the special paper practice series exams. Right. So as you guys can clearly see, we conducted the exam on the 11th of June. Today, the 14th of June, it says July. There's an error there, right? Today, the 14th of basically June, right? Not 1 month later, right? We are basically doing the discussion. So these were the areas covered in the paper, right? Unit 1, the basic concepts, and Unit 2, demand supply analysis, chapter 1 and chapter 2. Right. So that's clear now. Next, we will start the discussion with the 15 MCQ questions, exam standard MCQ questions that you guys were asked to attempt. The time I had allocated for part A of this paper, the first paper, the part A, and that will be the structure I'm following in all the papers in the first season of the series, paper practice series. So, but the time allocated, I think that's also important to focus on, was approximately 30 minutes. So within the 30 minutes time, you were expected to answer 15 exam standard multiple choice questions, right? Okay, so we'll start the discussion then with the MCQ paper or part A of the paper. Right, question 1. Which of the following areas are normative statements? Now, through the Mind-Hub virtual learning platform, the website, in the revision classroom, plus virtual revision classroom, obviously, plus in your WhatsApp groups, I have shared a PDF of the suggested answer material. So I'll just share it on the screen. A PDF of this material is now shared with you. If you had enough time to make a printout of it, if it was possible, I don't want you guys to go out of your way and trouble your parents and incur unnecessary cost on this. But if you were having the facility and the ability to try and get this printed, then you can have a hard copy. You can fill in the answer numbers and also you can maybe make some notes when we look at the part B discussion as well, right? If not, you need to, in a book, in a piece of paper, notepad, notebook that you have with you at the moment, you need to put the question number and make a note of the correct answer. Make a note of the correct answer number. Okay, right. So let's start off then with the MCQ paper, as I said many times now. Right, question 1. Which of the following are normative statements? Which of the following are normative statements? There are a range of statements given, and you need to identify the one or more than one normative statement amongst the statements given. Okay, so essentially there are minimum 2 statements, because looking at the answer options you can see that, right? 2 normative statements, right? The environment is an example of scarce resources is a objective positive statement which can be proven, disproven based on the evidence. If income increases, sales of branded clothes will fall. Now, there are the statements. Branded clothing is a normal good, a type of a normal good known as luxury good. So, normal goods have a positive relationship with income. So, if income increases, demand for normal goods increase. So, if you look at the theoretical side, technical side, the statement is wrong. But we are not looking for the incorrect statement. We are simply looking for the normative statement, that subjective, opinion-based, value judgment-based statement. So this is not a, B is not a normative statement. It can be, again, we can look at the actual evidence and prove or disprove. So it's a positive statement. C, economies have limited resources to satisfy unlimited wants, is stating a fact. And again, it is positive in nature. You can argue, you can debate on it, and you can look at actual evidence and decide whether it is acceptable, whether we can accept the statement or reject the statement. So C is also not a normative statement. D, protest by professionals on the present pay tax system is fair. Now, even the university professors and lecturers who mark your who get involved in the advanced level paper marking process, as you guys know, sometime back were on strike. There was a delay of about 2 months of starting to mark the 2022 advanced level papers. So now what I'm saying in this statement is protest by professionals on the present pay tax, pay as you earn tax system is unfair. Is this a normative or a positive statement? You can see clearly there is an opinion. There's a value, someone's value judgment is there. So words like fair, unfair, right, wrong, good, bad, when we say something should be done, these are very opinionative, subjective nature, normative statements. Normative statements. So one normative statement we have found, that is basically D, right? One normative statement we have found, that is D, right? Economists classify natural resources as renewable and non-renewable. Again, positive nature, objective, debatable, provable, or disprove. We can prove or disprove. Right? It might be stating something observed in the economy also, right? Then F, a guaranteed price scheme should be provided to protect domestic paddy farmers. Earlier, the word in statement D, the word was fair. Here, the word is should. It's an opinion. It's an instruction. Get it? So if you don't do it, it's something that is incorrect, or it's something that is should have been done but not being done. Okay, so there is an opinion there. So F is definitely a normative statement. G, the rate of inflation in Sri Lanka at present is single digit, might be factually wrong, meaning it's not correct, but we are not looking for the correct or wrong statement. We are looking for normative positive. So the only 2 normative statements we were able to identify was D and F. So which answer covers D and F? Answer number 3. Correct answer should be number 3. Then it says, second question, the sphere of economics, the area of economics, which focuses on the decisions made by the economic operators, of households, firms, and government on a single market. That's a very important clue for you. In a single market, not in the economy in general, but in a single market is termed as. If it's single market, then you understand it's individual focus, product focus, or it's a very narrow focus that is there, which means it is microeconomics in nature. Right? So the correct answer, the description also gives you the idea, and it talks about a single market, one market. So the correct answer would be microeconomics. Correct answer would be number 2, microeconomics. Question number 3. The conflict between human wants and resource endowment means societies. So the conflict is basically the problem of relative scarcity. Resources are to be allocated only using centralized planning mechanism. No. Any resource allocation mechanism is a result of the problem of relative scarcity. You can't say it's only central planning that is trying to solve or is created as a result of scarcity of resources. So that's wrong. Number 3, problems can be solved by using resources economically. In the statement, in the question, I'm not directly saying it's about scarcity, but you guys know the conflict between human wants and resources, especially unlimited wants, and compared to those unlimited wants, having to face a problem of scarcity, yes, is basically the conflict that we are talking about. So it says, third answer says, scarcity, right, as a problem can be solved using resources economically. Using resources economically is very important from an economic point of view. But just because we are efficient and economical, that doesn't solve the problem of scarcity. Because we always talk about scarcity on a relative basis compared to unlimited bonds. Face a problem of choice among alternative users? Most probably yes. So we'll put a pin on that. Number 3, problems can be solved by using resources economically, efficiently, right? All of this is giving the same idea, right? I think I skipped the second answer and read the third answer. So the second answer, we have put a pin on it. It could be correct. Third answer is incorrect. Fourth answer will always be affected with a problem of consumption poverty. No, poverty and scarcity are also 2 different things. So the key is, when you read the statement, you need to understand the statement is talking about basically relative scarcity. Yes, the statement is talking about relative scarcity, right? So that's our number 4 will always be affect problem. Yeah, we did that. Number 5, the economy should use only decentralized price mechanism. So it's the centralized or decentralized mechanism of resource allocation doesn't, or it's not specific to, we can't say every economy. Why we need to even have an economic system is about, it's because of scarcity of resources. So every economy will have a mechanism, a system of allocating resources and solving basic economic problems, which means deal with the problem of scarcity, right? So I think you guys will agree the correct answer is number 2. Relative scarcity coupled with resources having alternative uses leads to a problem of choice, essential trade-off that creates opportunity cost. Question 4. Which of the following is not a salient feature of the economy's part of resource endowment categorized as economic resources? What is not a feature of economic resources? Okay, economic resources. By definition, what are economic resources? Resources which are limited in supply, limited in availability in comparison to unlimited human wants. Then we talk about economic resources in under four main categories. We classify economic resources into four main categories. So we have land, capital, property resources, labor, entrepreneurship, human resources. Right. So with that understanding, limited in supply, yes, that's correct. The creation of a resource cost when used, yes, opportunity cost, resource cost is created. Being a production factor, yes, it is a production factor or input used in production. The creation of zero opportunity cost when used, no. We don't have zero opportunity cost when we use economic resources. When we use free resources, we might have zero opportunity cost. Okay. Then, so we are looking for which is not a salient feature. So number 3 can be correct, right? Sorry, number 4 can be correct. Number 5, the ability to use for alternative purposes. Not only economic resources, even non-economic resources we can use for alternative purposes. So I'm going to go with answer number basically 4. The creation of opportunity costs when used, yes. Right? Answer number 4. Then number 5, which of the following can be considered as a social overhead? Social overhead. Don't get social capital confused with social overheads. Right? Irrigation facilities is economic infrastructure. Expressway is economic infrastructure. Power station is economic infrastructure. Pipe-borne drinking water can at times be argued as welfare-based expenditure. Dedicated economic centers for agro products. Which of the following is no, agro products, economic center. The word itself is there. It's an economic infrastructure, not social infrastructure. So I think you guys will agree. Yeah. Even though you know, providing pipe-borne water, right? It can be used for factories and economic activities. Mainly, Putta, pipe-borne water is provided on a social welfare or to provide social welfare and social benefit. So I think you guys understand it's number 4, right? Then number 6, now we are going into unit 2 areas. The following is the demand schedule relevant to the linear demand curve for product X, straight line demand curve for product X, right? Derive the demand equation. So using this schedule, derive the demand equation in the following formats. So I'm testing your basic knowledge on the 2 ways we can draw demand curves and present demand equations. So we'll start with the familiar or the standard format, right? Standard format, right? So the standard format is QD equals A minus BP. Here, B, which is what we generally estimate first, is delta QD divided by delta price. So if you apply the values, quantity, 50 minus 60, that's minus 10. Minus 10, right? Minus 10. And the price change is 1 minus 0, so basically 1. Therefore, we realize the B component is minus 10. B component is minus 10. What is A, Putta? The A component? A component is basically quantity demanded at 0 price, when price equals 0. So you can see that here, isn't it? You can find it from the schedule itself. There you go. You have, when the price is 0, quantity demand is 60. So A is basically A equals 60. So if you take these components, you can easily write the demand equation as QD equals 60 minus 8p, right? Sorry, 60 minus 10p, 60 minus 10p, and the idea is we have used the standard format. So standard format is here. I'll just highlight that for you. Right. In this format, the equation was found as 60 minus 10p. There's only one answer that says 60 minus 10p. So effectively, we have not only derived the demand equation in the QD equals format, we have also found the answer. Just for the learning purpose, that's the whole point of paper practice. Can you guys tell me how I can find the equation in the other format? I can estimate the 3 steps and then get the equation like we did here, or we can convert. If it's QD equals 60 minus 60 minus, we got 10p. Yeah, if it's 60 minus 10p, then the conversion would be take the minus 10p to the other side. Then we get plus 10p equals 60 remains. QD crosses over becomes minus QD. So to solve this, we divide all sides with 10 or minus 10. And then we end up with, basically, we get P equals 6 divided by 10 is 6 minus 1 divided by 10 is 0.1 QD. So if you can find the answer here, you will see that we have the correct answer all along. That is answer number 1. Answer number 1. Okay. Both formats, we have found the answers. Right. There's a question. Yeah, very good. Right. I think you guys are familiar with the equations. Yes. And we are okay with those areas. Question number 7. Which of the following indicates that another good is a substitute for the given good, for a given product? But how do we know if another product is a substitute, not from the consumer behaviors point of view, but rather based on the price quantity demanded relationship? How do we identify two substitute goods? In other words, based on the economic definition, right? What are substitute goods? Other things given, other factors remain constant. Another good, a consumer buys more when consumers' nominal income increases, money income increases. Now that's a problem with that, because when we say other things given, the consumer's money income also remains unchanged. Only thing that is changing in this scenario or situation is price of the other good is changing, but that is not what they are saying. So therefore, first answer is incorrect. Other things given, another good, a consumer buys less when consumers' nominal income increases. Again, basically, we are suggesting maybe it's kind of an inferior good, but not a substitute. Substitute doesn't talk about income. Substitute talks about the price of another good and the demand for the product under consideration. Number 2, two goods which are always bought together, that is complementary goods, not substitute goods. Not substitute goods. That's complementary. Number 4, other things given, another good, a consumer buys less when consumers' real income decreases. Fourth answer is also about real income. So real income is able to give us a even clear idea that now how does real income change, Buddha? Real income mainly changes when there is a change in price. What is the relationship? When price of the product increases, right? The real RY, I'll say real income, also increases or decreases. When price increases, what happens to real income? Nominal and other things, nominal income and other things held constant. When prices increase, what happens to real income? Purchasing power. Come on, more of you know the answer. Very good. Yes, there we go. Decreases. So that negative or indirect relationship is something we have to keep in mind. But remember, if real income has decreased, that in turn gives us the idea price of the product has increased. Price increases, real income decreases. Right. So look at statement for other things given. Another good, a consumer buys less when the consumer's real income decreases. That can't be Buddha, because substitute goods price quantity demanded relationship is positive, not negative. Here price is increasing, but the demand for the substitute good will it is not said what will happen to the demand for the substitute good, and because the price is increasing, if the two products are substitutes, then demand will also have to increase. Here it says demand is decreasing. We are buying less. So that is out. Option 5. Other things given. Another good, a consumer buys less. Consumer buys less when consumer's real income increases. How does the consumer's real income increase? Real income will increase when price decreases. So price of the, real income decrease when price decreases. So price of the good is decreasing and the demand for another product is also decreasing. Price of the product under consideration is decreasing, demand for another product is also decreasing. Both are working in the same direction. That means the relationship is positive, and the correct answer is number 5. If you guys have any clarifications, you need to ask. Okay, it's a question with a bit of a twist. Correct answer number 5. Yes. What is meant by other things? There's a question from one of your colleagues, classmates. Sir, what is meant by other things given? Other things given is another way to give the ceteris paribus assumption. Only one factor changes, other things remain constant. Other factors do not change. Is that clear? Right. There are 2 requests to explain the question again. Okay. I'm sure all of you guys are okay and comfortable with eliminating 1, 2, and 3. It's between 4 and 5. Okay, between what? 4 and 5. In terms of 4 and 5, they're talking about real income change. No? As you can see on the screen, as I have explained, if real income is to change, right? If real income is to change, right? Real income is to change. The only way that can happen is, if real income is to change, the only way that can happen is price of the product under consideration has to change. Price of the product under consideration has to change. Because other things are given, other things are held constant. So what are 2 goods? Or when do we say 2 goods are substitute goods? We say 2 goods are substitute goods, right? We'll take 2 products, price of X and QD of Y. Okay, product Y. Substitutes, if the 2 products are substitutes none. When price of X increases, demand for Y should increase. When price of X decreases, demand for Y should decrease. Now relate these things. 4th statement says, consumer's real income has decreased. If consumer's real income is decreasing, that means the product price has to increase. Then only real income decreases. If the 2 goods are substitutes, when the product price increases, quantity demanded should also increase. Quantity demanded should also increase. But it says quantity demanded is, right, less, you buy less. QD decreases, demand also decreases. So that can't be the correct answer. The next point, number 5 says, that cannot be the correct answer. Number 5 says, other things given, another good, a consumer buys less. Now, consumer is buying less when consumer's real income increases. When does the consumer's real income increase? When the price Price of the good decreases here. When price decreases, real income increases. So when real income increases, if the two products are substitute goods, consumer will buy more of the other product especially if it's cheaper. So now concentrate, please. Fifth situation, they say real income has increased. If real income is to increase, we need to see the price of the product decreasing. If the price of the product decreases, if there are two products that are substitutes, when price of the product under consideration decreases, the demand for the substitute should also decrease. Demand for the substitute should also decrease. So you can see price decreasing and quantity demanded also decreasing, which means the two goods X and Y are substitute goods. Is that clear? Yes or no? I can explain again. Is it clear? The point is the relationship between price of the product and the real income. Price of the product and the real income. Right. There were two students who asked this. Can you quickly confirm? Are we okay? Right. But before you try to understand anything, the catch is, right? Catch is, know the relationship between change in price and real income. If real income is increasing, price has decreased. If real income is decreasing, price of the product has increased. Right. That's first part. Second part is know the relation. That's how I explained as well. If you were observing, right? First, I explained this, the price and real income relationship, because that is the only way I can figure out what is happening to the price. Secondly, I explained this. Second piece of knowledge is price quantity demanded relationship between two substitute goods is positive. Two substitute goods is positive. Only answer number 5 gives the correct combination for the first thing, that is change in real income and price, and then the second thing, that is if the two goods are substitutes, their price quantity demanded relationship has to be positive. Right. So I think with that you should be able to figure this out. Okay. Right. After the session, if you are still confused, you can clarify, but now I need to move on. Okay. Question 8. Identify the correct statement. Correct statement out of the 5 statements given. Contraction of demand is indicated by the leftward shift. No. Contraction of demand means what? Can you give it to me in a different way? Another way. Contraction of demand means what? AKA? Contraction of demand? Come on, we know this. Contraction of demand, yes. Basically, it's a decrease in quantity demanded. When quantity demanded decreases or quantity demanded increases, does the demand curve shift? No, demand curve doesn't shift when quantity demanded changes. Or when price of the product changes, quantity demanded changes. But if demand curve is to shift, other factors have to change. Other factors have to change. Right? Yes, very good. Movement of a point. So this statement is incorrect. An increase in demand elasticity is indicated by the rightward shift of the demand curve. Complete nonsense. No. Elasticity is about the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a proportionate or relative change in price. It has nothing to do with the demand curve shifting. Due to the increase in real income, third answer, when price of a particular good increases, the quantity demanded decreases due to the increase in the real income when the price of a particular good increases. Just now we realized that purchasing power, real income and price relationship is negative. When price increases, real income decreases. When price decreases, real income increases. So It's talking about a positive relationship. That's out. Number 4, negative substitution effect related to an inferior good overpowers the negative income effect. No. For inferior good, hold on, negative substitution effect related to inferior good overpowers the negative. Yes, that's correct. Because for inferior goods, right, substitution effect is always negative. No, substitution effect is always negative. If substitution effect, negative substitution effect is more powerful than the negative income effect, then we are talking about inferior good. We are talking about inferior goods. Get it? Right. Then other things held constant, a change in price leads to an equally powerful, okay? Equally powerful. Please adjust. Just understand the small adjustment there. Leads to an equally powerful substitution and income effect. Other things held constant, a change in the price leads to a equally powerful substitution effect and income effect for any type of good. No, that's wrong. Only for normal goods. Only for normal goods that will happen. So that statement is also wrong. So the correct answer is answer number 4. Any questions? Please ask. Any clarifications? Question 9. The assumption made when constructing a demand curve is. What is an assumption made when constructing a demand curve? The quantity demanded always increases? No, we can't say. We say quantity demanded changes when price changes. And the nature of the changes or the direction of the change is negative. That's all. Okay. Then the price will change, but the real income will remain constant. But what's the problem with that statement? What's the problem with that statement? If the price is changing, real income cannot remain constant. Because every time price changes, the real income changes. What is the relationship between real income and price? Very quickly, if you can tell me. What is the relationship between real income and price? The relationship between real income and price is negative. Very good. Yes. So, but this can't happen. When price changes, real income will obviously change. Get it? So these are out. Number 3, the price will change, but the relative price will remain constant. Price will change, but the relative price, no, we do not hold real income or what do you call real income or now the statement says the price will change, but the relative price, no. Real in when price changes, right? When we draw the demand curve, the assumption we make is price is allowed to change. When price changes, nominal, real income, these things are held, nominal income is held constant, right? But when nominal income is held constant, but the relative, I'll start again. When price changes for the, right, we can't say that real income or purchasing power is constant, because when price changes in a negative way, indirect way, real income will change. At the same time, when price changes, unless the price of all goods increase by the same proportion or decrease by the same proportion, when the price of one good increases or decreases, relative price may change. We can't say it's held constant. So that's also wrong. Think about what I just said, right? The price elasticity of demand shall remain constant along the demand curve. Fundamentally, that is wrong. Even though it's an elasticity area, you should have that basic idea, right? Number 5, the factor other than price of the product held constant within a given period of time. Ceteris paribus assumption is the main assumption used when constructing a demand curve, when explaining law of demand. So correct answer number 5. Any questions, please ask and clarify. 10, the market supply curve for some good or service would shift to the left when? When would the market supply curve shift to the left? Left meaning what? Demand or supply, Puta? Demand or supply left, right? Leftwards shift. Leftwards shift is an decrease. Leftward shift is a decrease. Rightwards shift, demand or supply, is an increase. Rightward shift is an increase. Okay, basic stuff. Right. Market supply curve shift to the left, meaning decrease in supply. What would cause a decrease in supply? What would cause a decrease in supply? Technology improving? No. Supply will increase. The price of the production substitutes fall. Price of production substitute falls. Then the supply decreases, not increase. Right? That could be correct. And complements rise. No. If complements rise, no, when price of production substitutes fall, yeah, when price of production substitute falls, the supply will decrease, right? Supply will when the price of production substitutes, when the price of production substitutes fall, right? Other producers will also start producing the product under consideration. So supply will increase. Yes, supply will increase. Even when complementary prices rise, byproduct prices rise, supply will increase. So first is out, second is out, because we are looking for a decrease in supply, leftward shift. Number 3, the price of inputs increase. When price of inputs increase, yes. Why? Because cost of production increases. When the cost of production increases, supply will decrease. Supply will decrease. Should be the correct answer. That's number 3. Technology improves and the price of inputs fall. Technology improves and the price of inputs fall. No, then it's a rightward shift, not a leftward shift. Number 5, more suppliers enter the market, rightward shift. Supply increases. Correct answer is what, Puta, then? Number 3. Number 3 is the correct answer. 11. Which of the following factors may not affect the determination of market demand for a given product? Market demand for a given product. Price of the product, private income. So that's basically should be the answer. We'll put a pin on it for now. The price of related products? No. Price of related products might not have a direct impact on might not be a determinant for demand, because that might not be a determinant. It says may not affect, no. So when the price of related product changes, price of substitutes, price of complementary good changes, it will have an impact on the demand for the product under consideration. So we eliminated the first one, we put a pin on the second one, third, fourth one, fourth option. Fourth option. Household tastes and preferences will have an impact, and socio-demographic factors. Yes. So only thing that we don't see has having a direct impact on the market demand is a given individual's income. Okay, private income. So that should be the correct answer. Any questions, Puta? Please ask and clarify then and there. Okay, don't carry it forward. Question 12. What effect will the smartphone prices have on the smartphone accessories market and other wearable, pairable devices market? What is the impact? Devaja, you have asked for which question, please? $11, okay, right. 11, okay. Okay. Now, what your social and demographic factors affect market demand? We are looking for the factor that doesn't affect market demand. Number 1, number 3, number 4, number 5, all of these affects market demand. We are looking for what doesn't affect. Is that clear, brother? There's another question. Musni, let's see. Is consumers' income is different from private income? Yes. When we say consumer income, we are referring to it generally. Income of consumers. Get it? But when we say private income, we are specifically talking about one individual consumer's income. When one individual consumer's income decreases, you can't say in a competitive market demand will decrease. Because when one individual consumer's income has decreased, maybe there is another few consumers whose income has increased or doubled. So when one person's income decreases, when the income of the others adjusts, when income of all the consumers are adjusting, you can't really see whether you can't really explain or say demand is changing because of this particular consumer's income has changed. So we say private income or individual income doesn't affect. When we say consumers' income or income of consumers, we generally talk about the income all the consumers are having. Is that clear? Did I explain your doubt? Yes. Now you guys need to respond. Then only I would know. Right? The other student who asked about question 11, are we okay? Right. Good. Question 12. Okay. Answer number 1 for the 12th one. Let's see. What effect will the smartphone prices have? Smartphone prices have on the market, on the smartphone accessories and wearable pairable devices market. Right. These are basically, if you guys agree with me, complementary in nature. Two things we buy together. So, if the smartphone prices, what effect will the smartphone prices have? Okay. Now here, we will have to assume then smartphone prices are rising. What effect will the smartphone prices have on the smartphone accessories and other wearable pairable device market? Yes. In the question, the price change is not given. There's something missing in the question. No? If you assume it was an increase, then the demand will decrease. Because complementary goods, negative relationship. If you assume that it's an increase, then the demand will, so if it's an increase, demand will decrease. If the smartphone prices decrease, demand will increase. So because of that ambiguity or unsureness, right, I'm going to ask you to award yourself. If you have marked an answer, you get the full marks for this question. Even though what you have marked is not the correct answer, because there's a small flaw in the question. But I'm going to adjust the question now and we'll discuss it. What effect will rising smartphone prices have on the smartphone accessories and other wearable devices market. Complementary goods, negative relationship. Complementary goods, price quantity demand relationship is negative. So when smartphone prices rise, anything which is a complementary good for smartphones, demand will decrease. Demand will decrease. So correct answer number 2. Correct answer number 2. Is that clear? Right. Price of complementary goods. Will it affect supply? There's a question being asked by one of your colleagues. Answer yes, but they are not consumption complementary goods. They are production complements, most of the time referred to as byproducts or products in joint supply. Byproducts or products in joint supply. Here, we are clearly talking about consumption substitutes. Is that clear? Right. 12. Yeah, okay. Question 13. Which of the following causes could explain the supply equation for a technology-based product changing from minus 100 plus 2p to minus 80 plus 2p? If this minus thing is confusing you, Saranya, you have asked a question. Which question are you referring to? Which question number? 12th one, okay. Let's see. Yes. What will have rise in smartphone prices? No, but now I understand what you're asking, but I'm going to stick with the answer demand, not contra-demanded. The reason is, right, you ask for the demand of another product. So if you look at the demand for wearable, pairable devices, smartphone is the price of a complementary good. When the price of complementary goods, when the price of substitute goods changes, it is demand changing, demand curve shifting, because price of complementary goods, price of substitute goods are other factors. They are other factors. They are not the price of the product under consideration. Did I make it clear to you? Got it? Right. Good for you. Right. Here, now, first I wanted to understand this change a bit. If I have a supply curve diagram drawn like this, right, what we are saying is, first we have a supply curve of this nature. I'll call it S1. What is that? Minus 100 plus 2p. Then supply basically changes this way, isn't it, Buddha? It goes from minus 100 to minus 80. S2 minus 80. Now, when it goes from minus 100 to minus 80, basically, what is happening to supply? Increasing or decreasing? What is happening to supply? Supply is increasing. So, you have to figure that out first. Supply is increasing. So, which of these answers is able to explain an increase in supply? Don't get confused. Which is able to explain an increase in supply. Okay, there's another question I'll quickly answer. So, in the 12th question, without considering the demand, can we consider supply? No, because the question specifically is asking for devices market. What will be the effect on the smartphone prices have on the yeah, it's like this. You can consider the supply, right? You can consider supply, but then you are looking at wearable, pairable devices as a production substitute. No? So a company that is making phones looks at wearable devices as something they could produce instead of smartphones without or producing less smartphones, these devices. There's a logic there, but that logic is not very strong in the sense what they will try to do is produce a smartphone, then produce the accessories and try to sell the accessories for people who buy their smartphones. If that is their objective, if the smartphone prices rise, they might find it difficult to sell more accessories. Did I make sense? Yes, that is correct. That's what I'm explaining. So one of your classmates is saying, it's not a joint product, so we can't, it's not, it is not a joint product. It is not a production substitute also, but in that sense, because smartphone companies, they make accessories for their own phones, no? So they can't take a trade-off kind of a choice there. Either they're going to produce smartphones or accessories. They can't do that. So that is what production substitutes are. Right? Okay, good. Anything else? No, up to now I have answered the questions. I hope you guys are clear. Right. So now this is a proper discussion. That's the whole objective. Right? Very good. Right. Then decrease in, so we are done there. Then 13 I was explaining. Yes. Supply is increasing. So keep that in mind. What would explain increase in supply? Increase in the price, decrease in the price. These two answers immediately now you guys should be able to eliminate because it's nothing to do with price because supply curve is shifting. Supply curve is shifting, not a movement of a point. Number 3, sharp increase in the price. Sharp increase in the price of intermediate goods used in its manufacturing. No, then cost of production will increase. Then supply will decrease. So that's out. We are looking for an increase in supply. Number 4, an anticipated price increase in the future. Yeah, that could work. Why? Because the product is technology-based. Technology-based products, but if the price is going to increase in the near future, present supply increases. You want to get rid of the old stock. Present supply increases. In classes, we learn this with the example of Apples and iPhones. Get it? Apples being a basic product, iPhones being a technology-based product. So number 4 should be correct. Should be the correct answer. Number 5. Unprecedented deterioration of the product's technology. No. Then supply will decrease, not increase. So that's also out. Correct answer number 4. Okay. 14. Which one of the following factors is likely to cause the price of rice to increase without shifting the demand curve? Price of rice to increase without shifting the demand curve. What do you think? Okay. So remember, they're not asking what will happen if the price changes. They're asking what would cause a change in price. Understand the cause and effect relationship here. In other words, they're asking for how can the market price for rice increase? But market price for rice, that's what they're asking. Market price for rice increasing without demand curve shifting. Without the demand curve shifting. But the market price of a good is decided by 2 factors. Now, someone can argue, isn't this an equilibrium question? Yes, you can argue that way, but it's demand supply analysis also. Chapter 1 and 2 that we are covering. So I think I'm justified to have this question here also, right? Demand, supply, this is how price is determined. Now, what they are saying is, right? Price is to increase, but you can't shift the demand curve. Nothing to do with demand. Then what will happen? What should be the reason for the price to increase? Supply. What is the relationship between supply and price? Market supply and market price. What is the relationship between market supply and market price? Demand and market price relationship is positive. Supply and market price relationship is negative. Supply and market price relationship is negative. When supply increases, market price decreases. When supply decreases, market price increases. So I think you guys got the idea. If supply decreases, you will definitely see, if supply decreases from we'll say S1, D1, yeah, from S1 to S2, right? From S1 to S2, if supply decreases, you can clearly see price increasing from P1 to P2. If you want to see the increase in price, find a reason that will cause a leftward shift or reduction in supply. What would cause a leftward shift or reduction in supply out of these reasons? An increase in the productivity of paddy farmers. Yeah, then the supply will increase, price will decrease. An increase in the real income of consumers, that's affecting demand, right? Increase in the real income of consumers will affect the demand, right? And they are the cause is the price figure. Price decreasing, real income increases, right? And then we are talking about the demand side. Is that clear? So anyway, we are not looking for a change in price. No, we are trying to explain what is the cause of a change in price. We are not looking at change in price as the cause, right? So there, the cause and effect argument you can eliminate. The second answer, first answer eliminated. Third answer. Are you guys clear on what I just said? Real income. If real income is changing, then price should have changed. We are not asking for price change. We are trying to explain a price change. Right. An increase in wages of agricultural workers, cost of production will increase. Supply may decrease. Supply may decrease actually. So put a pin on that. An increase in the fertilizer subsidy, basically supply will increase. So that's out. An increase in the total population whose staple food is rice, then demand will increase, but we can't see a shift in the demand curve, or we can't talk about a shift in the demand curve, because without a shift in demand, the question is asking very clearly. So that's out. Correct answer number 3. Correct answer number 3. 15. If the quantity demanded of a good A increases, when the prices, quantity demand of good A increases, when income are decreasing. Quantity demand increases when incomes are decreasing, but increases when price increases. Increases when price increases. What is the good? Income demand relationship is, here you can see, demand increases, income decreases. So income demand relationship is negative. First thing, soon as you see income demand relationship is negative, go inferior good. But increase when price increases. QD increases, price increases. Then price quantity demanded relationship is positive. Here, increase in quantity demanded, increase in price. So increase in price, increase in quantity demanded, positive. So what is the good that has a positive, right? What is the good that has a positive relationship between price and quantity demanded while being an inferior good? While being an inferior good. Very good. Yes. Most of you have got the answer very quickly. Brilliant. It's an inferior good and the price quantity demanded relationship is positive. So both of these factors considered, what can we say? Definitely we are talking about a inferior good, yes, a special type of inferior good called given good. Special type of inferior good called given good. What is the correct answer? Number 5. Number 5, right. Before we move on to part B, with our discussion doesn't take much time because the answers are shared with you. I just need to run through those a bit with you guys. Okay, right. I've given a outline also for some answers. I'll explain how to formulate an answer. Right. Any questions in part A? The 15 questions we did. Okay. Right. Quickly we look at part B then. The questions are given. Right. Question 13. There's a request to explain question 13 a bit. Let me just check with you, Buddha. Are you okay, or are you aware that when it comes to future price expected in supply, the response for a future price increase depends on the nature of the product? Are you clear on that point, that theoretical argument? Yes. So that is what we are applying here. Now the product is a technology-based product in 13. If it's a technology-based product, and if we want to see an increase in supply, for a technology-based product, you have learned when the price is expected to increase in the future, that is the sign that there's a new model coming in. So you want to get rid of the old stock much as possible. So the present supply increases. Present supply increases. Did it make sense? That is how we have derived the answer for question 13. There's one more inquiry, right? Clarification. So can you repeat the answer for question 7? Just the answer, right? Not the answer explanation, I assume. We spent a lot of time with question 7, right? So I have chosen answer 5. Are we okay, or do you want me to explain? Me just quickly running through the answers, I have really understood the question. Doesn't work for you guys, no? Right, okay, good. Right, then we go to part B. Part B, there are 3 questions. Each question is for 10 marks. I do expect a bit of, efficiency and for you guys to show, demonstrate knowledge with those questions, right? Right. Now, if you look at the suggested answer material, I've given for certain parts of the question 1, I have given answer outline. For the other parts, I have given suggested answers. Both I have. Right now, let's look at the first part. Briefly explain the famous economic statement. There is nothing called a free lunch. Now, what does this statement, what is it all about? It's all about the argument, Putta, that there is, just because you get something free, it is not actually free. So it is partly about how we look at a free good and an economic good in economics, because normally we have a very strict definition for what is a free good and what is an economic good. But in day-to-day use, Putta, if you get something free of charge, you simply refer to it as a free good. But in economics, when we say free good, it is not just because you have got that product or got that good free of charge. No, it has to be a purely free good. In that sense, it has to be a non-economic good, which means in its creation, there are no limited resources being used. It is not a result of a production process even, and it is unlimited or abundantly available when the supply is there, right? And it does not involve opportunity cost. When these things are there, that is what we call a free good in economics. So just because someone gets something free, it is not a economic good, or it is just because someone gets something free, it is not a free good. For something to be a free good, we need to have certain other technical conditions are there, as I mentioned earlier. So that's why I'm suggesting when you write a good answer for this 3-mark question, brief answer, you will first provide a small but correct definition for non-economic or free goods. Once you have defined what is a non-economic or free good, it's easy to argue, easy to explain why something is not, just because it's given free, why it is still an economic good, and why it is not a free good. And also it's a good way to explain that every good that we produce and use, right, has a opportunity cost, resource cost. Now that's the second point also is connected to that. In the second point, I'm saying, mention the link between scarcity, relative scarcity, alternative users, trade-offs and opportunity cost. Alternative users, trade-offs and opportunity cost. By explaining that, you can easily then argue that just because you get a good or service free of charge, behind that, because they are not an non-economic, so that's, you've said that first, no? Because they are non-economic goods, you can easily argue that even goods that are given free of charge involve using scarce resources with alternative users. Therefore, there is a choice to be made, trade-off to be made, and the result of that is opportunity cost. Result of that is opportunity cost. So those are the, I just mentioned the third point also. So those are the main points, main framework, outline for your answer. That is not an answer, it's a guidance for your answer. So I would appreciate if you guys can find a bit of time just to see if you can write an answer connecting these 3 points. That will be a really useful thing for you guys. Okay? Right. Part B, both land and capital are known as property resources. Property resources. Explain briefly how land is distinguished from capital as an economic resource. Both are property resources, true, we have to agree. But they are not exactly the same. They are 2 different types of productive resources, economic resources, and definitions are very different. So the main distinction between land and capital, even though they fall into one broad family called property resources, there's a very clear difference between them. What is that, Putta? You guys know this. Capital is the human-made resource, factor of production, whereas land is the natural factor of production. Is that clear? I'll repeat that. Capital is the human-made factor of production. Land is the natural factor of production. That is the main distinction. So in the 3 points I've asked you to argue, explain, that is what I'm trying to look at. Okay, if you go through the points, you will get a really good idea of how to structure an answer. Remember, again and again and again, I'm saying this, if you are asked to distinguish, make sure you write a proper definition first. For the 2 concepts, write the proper definitions, right? Without that, Putta, whatever else you do, it doesn't make much sense, right? Any questions you guys can ask? C, now, for part C of question 1, while I have given the answer framework, now I'm trying to teach you guys, trying to share with you how to convert that into an answer so that you get an idea of how this is done. Distinguish between labor and entrepreneurship based on 3 salient points of differentiation. Use 3 points and clearly show the difference between labor and entrepreneurship. First, I have suggested to define labor and entrepreneurship. So basically, that is what I have done. Out of the 4 marks, I have allocated 1 mark for the definitions. Right? 1 mark for the definitions. Right? That is 1 mark each for the definitions. Right? Then, to score the remaining 2 marks, because I have said 3, you have to write minimum 3. You can write more, but if you write less than 3, you will only be given marks with an adjustment for 2. Only for 2 marks will be given, marks will be adjusted. So if they ask for a specific number of examples or features or something like that, Putta, you have to write that exact number. Can write more, but cannot write less. You can't write less. Is that clear? Right. So then I have given the definitions. Then I am saying, while labor and entrepreneurship are both human resources, that's a really good argument also to bring there. They are both human resources, but labor, especially when it comes to salary and things like that, the reward for labor, when it comes to the reward, the main focus of the reward for labor is wages, or people work to earn wages. But entrepreneurs are motivated with profits. So that's a good argument there, right? And an entrepreneur persistently attempts to introduce commercially viable innovations. Of course, there are employees who can work towards innovations and improve things, but compared to an entrepreneur, for a labor unit, there is no motivation, because innovation involves a risk. Are you guys with me? Innovation has a risk, no? So for labor, there is no real push or motivation to take that risk of innovation, while most of the time, whether they are innovative or not, they will be paid their salary. They will be paid their salary. But entrepreneur, if the entrepreneur wants to earn more profits and to expand the business, entrepreneur constantly needs to innovate. Constant needs to innovate. The entrepreneurship is a very important area, right? Especially for your exam, because one of the ways we can get out of our present or existing economic crisis is through entrepreneurship. Get it? Through entrepreneurship. We can build up our economy out of the crisis. Entrepreneurs have the ability to do that. So in your last year's paper, this year's paper, entrepreneurship is a bit of a hot topic, as you would say. Get it? Right. So entrepreneurs persistently, so in innovation part. Then thirdly, entrepreneurs are highly risk prone. They're willing to take risk. That's how entrepreneurship works, right? But labor units are risk averse. They try to avoid risk much as possible. And next point, the entrepreneur will get involved in the decision-making process at the strategic level, at the top. But different levels, there are employees who will either make or simply follow the decisions made. Either make decisions at a lower level or follow the decisions made. But entrepreneurs make decisions at the top level, strategic level decisions. You don't have to write all this, and you don't have to be this elaborative, right? I'm giving this for the learning purpose also. But minimum you need to write 3. Okay. There's a question from one of your classmates. Right. Sir, in division of labor, when a labor unit becomes specialized in his or her job, that unit can become innovative, right? So should she make any new innovations? Will it be... Yeah, it's like this, Pudha. Now, when we say innovations, we are looking at innovations from a broad corporate level. As a company, you have to innovate. Come up with a new product line. Come up with a new business model. Now, with division of labor and specialization, there is innovation coming in because you are specialized. Through division of labor, you develop a specialization. But that innovation is for a small part of the entire business. A small part of the entire production process. Get it? So when we say the innovations the entrepreneurs do are not tactical level or are not operational level innovations. Entrepreneurs introduce the strategic level innovations that transform the entire organization or come up with a new product line altogether. Did I make sense? Do you understand the difference that I'm making? Good. Then there's another question. So in a question, if they ask how can entrepreneurs develop the country, how to answer? Good question, Buddha. You get some points with the, now in unit 1, what we do is we learn the more theoretical aspects of entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship? How is it different from labor as we are doing now, even though both are human resources? What are the functions of an entrepreneur? Then what are the attributes of a good entrepreneur? These are the things we learn in unit 1. But when it comes to unit 11 and especially unit 12, where we talk about economic growth development policies, we again talk about entrepreneurship, but from a different point of view. They are not from a theoretical point of view, from a more applied from a more applied point of view. And that's where we learn the difference, entrepreneurial development strategy. What is it called? Entrepreneurial development strategy. Is that clear, Buddha? Got it? Right. And remember, there is a close link between technological advancement, entrepreneurial activities, innovations, and development. Developing as a country. These are all very closely connected. What did I say? Technology, entrepreneurial innovations, development, and entrepreneurship. These are very closely connected. Right. Okay, so then question 2 focuses on what are the factors influencing. Now here, a very important, small thing, but very important thing to observe and be clear. I'm asking for market demand and market supply. So if you haven't written, right, so it's basically 1.5 marks for demand, 1.5 marks for supply. But if you haven't written this point, size of the market for demand, number of producers or size of the industry for supply. If you haven't written this special point for market demand, market supply, out of the 1.5, maximum you will get 1 mark. So for the entire question, you will get 2 marks at best. Okay. And also a mistake that we sometimes see is students get this market demand, individual demand, institution supply, market supply, and this whole thing about factors affecting demand or change in demand and change in quantity demanded. So for some reason it goes to, not you guys, but other students, some reason it goes to the mind that individual demand involves price as a factor affecting individual demand. But when it comes to market demand, price is not a factor affecting market demand. Somehow it's ignored. And also, to understand the question, it's not the other factors I'm asking for. I'm not asking for the factors held constant. Listen. I'm not asking for the factors held constant when drawing a demand curve or a supply curve. No, I'm asking for all the determinants. So please make sure you're smart enough to include price of the product in the beginning of the list itself. And then the special point, number of buyers, number of sellers. Okay? Right. Any questions you guys can ask? Right? So how many to write? If it's half a mark each, 1.5 marks, minimum 3. But don't write only 3 and stop. That's a risk. Okay? Especially when a number is not given. Right. Distinguish between demand and quantity demand. I think this is an area that all of you guys are very familiar and good with. Right? I really don't see a major problem in you guys figuring this out. But I have given a good suggested answer where in the first step I am explaining demand, second para I am explaining, okay, first para I am explaining demand, second para I am explaining quantity demanded. Then I want you to have a third paragraph for me to give you the 3 marks. Otherwise, you only get 2 marks. The third paragraph actually shows a link between these two things as well. In the sense that demand is represented by the entire demand curve, or whereas demand is represented by the entire demand curve, whereas supply. Sorry, what am I saying? Whereas quantity supplied is what forms that demand curve where each point is quantity. I said supply again, sorry. Each point is quantity demanded. Is that clear? So either you can write it and show the link between demand and quantity demanded, right? So in a demand curve, listen carefully. On a demand curve diagram, I can show both demand and quantity demanded. Am I correct? Is my statement correct? On a demand curve diagram, I can show both demand and quantity demanded. Yes or no? Yes. How come? Because demand curve itself is demand. Each point is quantity demanded. Quantity demanded. Right. So that is the third para. I'm expecting that for 1 mark. Okay. So when you wrote answers during the exam, but if you didn't bring that part in, now you need to bring that part in. Most of you would have written because you guys are very good with this area. There's another question from one of your classmates. Sir, in individual demand and supply, do we mention the size? No. If you do that, you lose marks. Individual demand and supply, if you mention the size of the market, size of the industry, you will lose marks. But in market demand, if you don't mention, you will lose marks. Is that market demand and supply? Is that clear? I hope I answered your question. Right? Are we okay with that? Clear? Right. Okay. Then part C of question 2, I'm asking for you to show me the difference between what would cause a shift of the demand curve and shift of the supply curve. Even though I use the word difference, it's actually a same model, same set of points, but we talk about them separately or differently for demand and differently for supply. We talk about them differently for demand and supply. But in this question, for you to score the full 4 marks, diagram is compulsory. Here, Buddha, diagram is, I'm sorry, should I mention that? Either you write this paragraph, the third para, or in the part B of question 2, or go for the diagram. Don't do both. Both are not required. If you write and explain the link between demand and quantity demanded, and through the diagram show the difference also, fine. Or directly go for a diagram and show the difference. No need to do both. But here, the question is asking for the diagram-based explanation. Diagram is key. Make sure you've drawn the diagrams properly, both showing rightward shift. Then I want you to give, I know you're only getting basically 2 marks each, but the diagram has to be drawn as well. But I want you to give this intro a bit, because the way the question is asked, it doesn't really give you an easy way to directly start writing the points. The way the question I have asked is, you have to have a small description, small intro as to why you are writing the other factors affecting demand and other factors affecting supply. Okay, read that, you will see what I am talking about. That intro is a bit important. Don't worry about it's a bit of a big paragraph and all that. No, that really gives you an answer, nice flow, and it's a very structured, proper answer then. Then I've gone through with that. Now here, if anyone has mentioned price, right? After giving this nice intro, after writing all of these points, if your first point is, right, for demand, if your first point is decrease in products price, if you write decrease in, because demand is increasing, no? If you write decrease in products price, here if you write increase in products price for supply, you will lose the entire marks for the question. Can't give marks because that's fundamental lack of knowledge is there. Get it? So if the curves are shifting, it has nothing to do with the price of the product. We are clear? Are we clear? What is this? Are we clear? Yes or no? Quickly. If it's the demand curve shifting, nothing to do with price of the product. Either in demand or supply. Is that clear? Right. Okay. So if you have written price, we can't give you marks. I'm sorry. That's how they mark things in marking schemes. Now, this is the 2022 marking scheme. I just held up to the camera. Okay. So in the 2022, the most recent marking scheme, right? If I can explain to you something like this, there's a question 2, Putta. Let's just listen. Question 2. What is held constant in drawing a supply curve? How do you draw this? How do you answer this? What is held constant in drawing a supply curve? First and foremost, is the question asking you to draw the supply curve? First, I'll read the question one more time. Listen carefully. 2022 advanced levels, question 2, right? Part 1 for 3 marks. What is held constant in drawing a supply curve? Is the question asking you to draw a supply curve? Yes or no? I want answers. Yes or no? Is the question asking you to draw a supply curve? No, the question is not asking you to draw a supply curve. What is the question asking? What are the factors held constant when drawing the supply curve? What are the factors? What is the supply curve? Supply curve is a graphical representation of, yes, a graph that represents law of supply. So do we make some assumption in law of supply? When we define and talk about law of supply, do we make an assumption? What is the assumption we make in law of supply? Very good. Ceteris paribus. All the other factors remain constant. Only the price of the product is changing. So what are they asking for in this question for 3 marks? A list of other factors affecting supply. They're asking for a list of other factors affecting supply. So here we have made a note. Teachers were asked to make a note in the marking scheme very clearly. 0 marks if price is mentioned. If someone starts the answer by saying price of the product or price of the product concern, price of the product under consideration, to be very clear, 0 marks. Not me. If you think I was being rude here, no. Marking scheme. Get it? Right. Question 3. Okay. Final question of the day. Question 3. Part A. The entire question is 5 parts, 5 sub areas. Here to use demand curve diagrams and show these scenarios. You have to use demand curve diagrams and show. Okay. Learn to draw these diagrams clearly and properly, because otherwise your whole answers are going to be below standard. Right. First situation. Each situation is independent. Increase in the market price of eggs. Increase in the market price of eggs. You know eggs, right? Eggs on the demand for cake and shorties. Cake and shorties. Do we need eggs to make cake and most shorties? Most pastry stuff? Do you need eggs to make them? Someone? Anyone? Who is a foodie? Maybe? Daddy. Oh, ned. No? Yes? Bitranatu cake. You can make eggless cake, but you know, cake. Right? And most of these shorties with a pastry and stuff like that. Even fish bun to make the bun, I think. I don't know. You need eggs. So now that knowledge itself could be for your detriment. That knowledge itself could be your worst enemy also sometimes. Understand the question. How many of you drew the diagram this way? Yeah, very good. There are few students. Very good. Right? Afzal, Saranya, good. Yes, Devuja, very good. Because what now? The more common thing that could have happened is, right? Anyone who did the paper, or all of you did the paper, that you could look at this as, complementary goods kind of a thing, right? So when egg prices have increased, demand for cakes and short eats will decrease and leftward shift of the demand curve. That's not the point here. Because when we buy, okay, if you have shifted the demand curve left, the only logical way that can be explained is with the illogical argument. That illogical argument is, when you buy cake, you also buy a carton of eggs. Does someone do that? You buy a cake, and because cake is made out of eggs, you buy a carton of eggs also. Do you do that? No. You go to a pastry shop and buy some short eggs. Do you buy eggs also from the next shop? No. Eggs is not a complementary good for these. It's an ingredient you use. I agree. Get it? So when the price of eggs increase, if you are making cakes and short eats at home, you will eat less cake and less short eat. That's fine. You will make less demand for wheat flour and other stuff used to make cakes and short eats. I agree. But here, when the price of eggs increase, the bakery industry, the confectionery industry, they will what? Increase their prices. When they increase their prices, for them, this is the input. When they increase their prices, market price of these products, cakes and short eats increase. When price increases, demand curve doesn't shift, movement of a point upwards along the curve. Ask if you want me to explain anything further. That's the argument. Second question. Decrease in real income of consumers. Throughout this paper, I am trying to seal the deal in terms of the knowledge between change in price and real income. I have taken effort to do that. I just want to make sure that knowledge is clear in you guys. Real income. Remember how we talked about this? Real income venas wenawa kiyanne. Real income changes means what? There is a change in price of the product. Decrease in real income when wage rates remain constant. Wage rates means what? Nominal income, money income, nominal or money income is constant and real income has decreased. What does that mean? Price has increased. You have to get to that, Putta. That's economic knowledge, analytical knowledge of economics. You have to figure out this. This means price has increased. When price increases, curve doesn't shift, upwards movement of a point. This point is not about income changing, it's about real income. Real income always connect with price. Connect with price. Any questions? Please ask. Third situation. Acute. What? Cute? Acute. Right? Not a puppy or a cat or whatever it is. Kitten or whatever it is. Acute meaning severe. Very, very sharp. Petrol shortage in the context of electric, electric and manual bicycles. Manual meaning the one you have to actually pedal, right? Manual bicycles. What will happen? Obviously, if you can't find petrol, having a car at home is useless. The only thing you can do with your car is, just to, you can look at it and be happy and proud and smile with your car and wash it every day and, nicely keep it shining and, all that. Maybe you can use your car as a storage device and put stuff in it and keep, because you can't go anywhere, no petrol. So people will obviously look for alternative modes of transportation, personal transportation, and demand for electric and manual bicycles. Obviously, we saw that in Sri Lanka sharply increased, and their prices increased after that. Bicycles went for prices, where in another normal period of time, you could have bought bicycles for the entire family with the money you had to spend to buy a bicycle for one person. No, that's demand supply market economics, plus that is also Sri Lanka for you, right? We get together and put ourselves in a crisis, right? Voluntarily. Number 4, increase in the trend of urbanization on Uber and Pick-Me taxi services. Very simple. More people more people migrate towards the cities and urban areas. Within the city areas, within the very congested city areas, people don't like to drive or bring their own vehicles, so they prefer ride-sharing services, ride-hailing services like Pick-Me and Uber. Demand will increase. Number 5, a significant increase in income of consumers on the demand for basic passenger transport bus service. Basic passenger transport bus service. How many of you all picked that? Significant word, big increase in income, not a small increase in income. That will change the affordability of certain things. Maybe that will give them the ability to go for their own personal mode of transportation. And how many of you guys picked up that I'm talking about and what good? I'm trying to give you the idea of bus travel, not the bus travel. Okay? Bus transport. Right? Before I write this, can you tell me? Some of you are responding. What should I write? Bus transport is what? I've used the right words to give you that idea. Bus transport is what? Brilliant. Very good. Netmal, Themidu, very good. Yes, Saranya, good. Anyone else? I didn't say the good yet. Did I? I didn't. Anyone else? I've taken the right efforts to give you an idea, right? No. It is about demand and how things connect to demand. How income connects to demand. What it is good? Yes, very good. Muzni. Mevan. Right? Very good. Okay. I said your proper name. Okay. Nishali, there we go. Afzal, now you got it. Right. Excellent. Yes. Inferior good. So we have to identify the bus service as an inferior good. Then the relationship is negative. Income increases, demand for bus travel decreases, demand for Uber, Pick-Me, ride-sharing services, and maybe small bicycles, scooters, and maybe small cars. For those things, the demand will increase. But for bus service, the demand will decrease. Demand will decrease. Same impact when there are these pandemics and viral diseases that are spreading. Demand for bus transportation, public transportation will reduce. That's not because it's an inferior good. That's because of the health risk. Here, it's because it's an inferior good. Right. Any questions or clarifications? Basically, that is the end of our first or inaugural special paper practice series, paper 1 answer discussion session. Okay, right. And I just want to mention something. This is not the Econ-Hub mock exam series. That's a much comprehensive thing, Buddha. That's a full paper and everything. That's something else. This is just something additional, especially for the 2023 A-level batch. You guys, I'm doing. Okay, and for all revision students, I'm doing it free of charge. Okay, in addition to the work we are doing. Right. So with that, I'm going to stop the recorded version.